We're continuing on Mesechet Avodah Zarah, and we are on Daf Nun Hey Amud Bet. Really, we got to the two dots on top of Nun Vav Amud Aleph, but we're going to go back from the beginning of this small topic that the Gemara started in Mishnah Rishona and Mishnah Acharona, based on the Gezerah that Rav Huna introduced to us in the Gemara. Today's Amud is being learned, the Zchut Refuah Shelema of Meir ben Tova and Sarah Rachel bat Nora, for Hatzlacha of Yigal ben Devorah. Today's Amud is also dedicated for Refuah Shelema of Rachel Simcha bat Nahid. Should have Refuah Shelema. Amen.
Amen.
So, Toda Rabbah. We mentioned in the Gemara that originally, and this is what our Mishnah mentions, that the wine that would be pressed, again we explained the process, the basic process of pressing wine, that they would go stand on it and press it with their feet in an area called gat, a large vessel that was called gat. And this was slanted in a way that all the grape juice squeezed would come into a pipe, a sinor, and they would pour down into a pit, that the initial fermentation process of the wine would happen there. And again, the pipe itself also, as we will learn, had a sifter basket on the bottom of it that would sift just the larger pieces that still were not fully squeezed, and they would take that afterwards and put it back to the gat and press it all over again, making sure that everything gets pressed as much as possible. And then, as we mentioned, they would take that with their hands again, whatever remnants was in the gat, and they would put it in a press and further press it to make sure every drop of grape juice was used properly. And the truth of the matter is, it would ferment a little bit in the pit, through which the initial process, the skins of the grapes and the seeds, the grape seeds and so on, would kind of like float on top with a bubbly look of, a mass of things that would float on top of the initial wine processing, fermenting, and then they would take it at some point and put it in barrels, and it would ferment further, and you would again have this whatever would become lighter would float on top again, and it would be further refined to a proper wine. So that's basically a crash course on how they made wine back in the day. And the question was, when exactly does this become susceptible to becoming yain nesech? If you have a goy involved, what exactly happens? And our Mishnah seemed to indicate that it is from the time that he goes down to the pit, which would indicate that you could actually stand there on the gat together with the goy with your feet and work in pressing the wine. That's the initial thing. And then we mentioned also that together with it is another concept you have to be sensitive to, and that is causing tum'ah for perot of Eretz Yisrael, for the fruits of Eretz Yisrael, which, as we develop it right now, you will see that there are two different reasons for that as well. One is what Rashi says in Mesechet Gitin Daf Nun Gimal, that because fruits of Eretz Yisrael are going to be eaten by Perushim, by people in Eretz Yisrael who were very stringent in Tahara, and they would even eat their chulin betahara. Even things that are non-teruma, even things that are not considered kodesh, they would still eat them with taharata kodesh, and hence you have to be careful not to cause any tum'ah for perot of Eretz Yisrael because of this. It was a gezerah midarabanan, to keep everything in Eretz Yisrael tahor, because you want to make it available for those who want to be machmir to eat chulin betahara. Or another reason, if you're dealing with Jewish product, then Jewish product, if the owners are Jews, you also have an additional reason, and that is every produce of Jew is going to have terumot u'maserot. Now, if you make the subtotal of their produce tameh early on, then now they can't have a truma that's tahor from the subtotal of their fruits that are all tameh. So imagine if you make the wine tameh because you're repressing it with a person that's tameh, so the whole gat becomes tameh. Now how are you going to have truma from this wine when the whole thing is tameh, right? So that would be additional reason. So in Mishnah Rishona, it would be mutar to go up on top of the gat together with a goy as long as he started it already. As soon as he starts, you could go help him, because what are you doing exactly? Nothing really, because he started. The whole thing is tameh anyways. He doesn't have an isur of making the fruits tameh, the goy. So you helping him is not mesayeh yedeh ovre avera. It's not helping someone that's doing an isur. So hence you could go help him. But bringing the fruits to the gat, which makes them closer to becoming tameh now, that's already doing something that is inappropriate in the Mishnah Rishona, because Rav Huna, because he holds that it's asur to be mesayeh to make fruits of Eretz Yisrael tameh, even if they're non-Jewish owned. Because you can't make, even the fruits of a goy you should not be making tameh. And then Chazru ve'amru, they retracted that psak later on, and they said, the wine becomes tameh from the moment that you press it. Not from the moment that it goes down to the pit, but when you're standing on the gat over there and the grape juice oozes out of, it's extracted from the grape, there already is yain nesach. So now if you say that, what's the halacha now? Can a Jew stand up there and help him but he's getting paid for that? Absolutely not. Because you're working with yain nesach and you're getting paid for it. That is having hana'ah, having benefit from yain nesach. Now, yain nesach is not just asur to drink, but it is asur b'hana'ah. You cannot derive any benefit from yain nesach. And being paid to work with yain nesach will be a problem. So that will be asur. And now we have to deal with bringing it to the gat as well. So let's learn, this is 8 lines up from the bottom of the Amud, in Nunhei Amud Bet. We're quickly going to review the last piece that we kind of ran through it yesterday. The Tanya, we learned in a Braita. Barishona hayu omrim, badad. In the beginning, Chachamim were saying badad. Badad is Rashi Tevot of botzrim dorchim dorchim. So what is that exactly? 3 halachot. En botzrim im ha'ovet kochavim. You cannot pick grapes and bring them to the gat, to the pressing place, with a goy, which is indication of, even though that's a goyish owned, you cannot help him bring it there, because again, you're making it closer and easier for the grapes to become tameh. Fruits of Eretz Yisrael, you're assisting the fruits of Eretz Yisrael becoming tameh. That's not something we want you to be involved with. And the second halacha is, it explains, she'asur ligrom tum'ah lechulin shebe'eretz Yisrael. It's asur to cause tum'ah for any chulin, even non-Jewish owned chulin in Eretz Yisrael. Ve'en dorchin im Yisrael. The second halacha is, en dorchim im Yisrael she'oseh perotav betumah. If you have a non-frum Yisrael that's not careful in Hilchot tum'ah v'tahara, you cannot be up on the gat together with him pressing the grapes, because of course when he is doing perotav betum'ah, what he is doing himself is he's causing his fruits to become tameh, and you're helping him. So by a Jew you have a problem of mesayeh bide ovre avera. You're helping someone do an avera. For goy is not avera to make them tameh. For a yid is, and you helping the yid to do that is a problem. So you cannot be up on the gat pressing with a Jew together when he owns it. she'asur lesayeh yedei ovrei avera, you cannot be helping him. Aval dorchim im ha'oved kochavim begat, but you could be up on the gat together with a goy, pressing the grapes, with a caveat that Rashi brings that he already started it. And we are not mindful, we're not concerned about the chashash of Rav Huna, which means to make it asur because of mistaker be'isurei hana'ah. Again, Rav Huna said, you're going to be working, it's going to be you getting paid with isurei hana'ah. We're not concerned about that because, again, the wine does not become asur with yain nesech until it is in the pit. So that's Mishnah Rishona. And therefore you have badad and boslin, but you could actually be dorech with the goy on top, dorchin in ha'akum, because the wine that he presses on top with his feet, the goy, doesn't become anything until it's down in the pit. So what you're doing up there with him is nothing. The only concern is you're making the fruits of Eretz Yisrael tameh, and with a goy, once he started already, you're not concerned about that because he's doing it. You're helping him. He doesn't have an isur, so therefore you don't have an isur of helping someone else, right? Then says the Gemara, ve'en botzrim im Yisrael, the last one, the badad, the v'chazru amru, chazru lomar, 2 lines up from the bottom. The chazru lomar, dabab. Dabab is when the second psak of Chachamim, when they retracted the first, en dorchim im oved kochavim begat. Right? We just finished saying the dorchim. They said no, you can't do it. What changed? Only one thing really changed in halachot of yain nesech. Said no. When you are in the gat, whatever comes out of the grapes becomes asur immediately. So therefore, you can't work with him because you're dealing with the yain nesech, you're getting paid, it's asur b'hana'ah, and you're getting hana'ah of payment from working with yain nesech, asur. So therefore, they said, En dorchim im havet kochavim begat mishum de Rav Huna. Exactly because of Rav Huna, because you're mistaker be'isurei hana'ah, you're getting paid from isurei hana'ah. Ve'en botzrim im Yisrael she'oseh perotah betum'ah. And you can't also help a Jew bring the fruits to the pressing place because he's doing it betum'ah. Of course, we already said that that's going to be a problem. But here the focus is going to be a problem on the fact that the Yid has chiyuv av terumot u'maserot. In other words, this Jew, Reuben, that I'm helping, he has all these grapes, he's going to make all this wine, the wine needs terumah, right? Now, he is not careful in tumah v'tahara. So he's going to end up with a massive amount of yain that's all tameh. Separate terumah is terumah teme'ah. Can't do that. I cannot help him make the potential terumah tameh. Forget about people who are careful chulin b'tahara. It's a much bigger problem over here. He's a Yid. And he's going to make his portion of terumah that's inside this wine that's going to be made all tameh. And terumah, what are you going to do? Burn it? You have to burn it. Can't make it terumah. That's a full-fledged isur. It's not just a gezerah because some people want to eat their chulin b'tahara. It's terumah. Terumah has to be tahor. So it says, the Gemara v'kol shken, and goes without saying, she'en dorchin, that you cannot actually go on top and press with him, because that's actually when the tumah happens and you're helping him with that. Aval botzrin in oved kochavim begat, but you can, according to Mishnah Achrona, you can help the goy bring his grapes, his fruit, pick it and bring it to the pressing place. Why? Shemutar ligrom tumah lechulin shebe'eretz Yisrael. Because according to this, they were not really that concerned about a goyish produce that's going to become tameh. So the people who are careful to eat chulin b'tahara, they will get it from people who are careful. So therefore, according to this Mishnah Achrona, we're not concerned about the goyish fruits for tum'ah at all, because they don't have the issue of teruma, and they also don't have the issue, we're not concerned about the issue of making Goyish-owned fruits in Eretz Yisrael, non-Jewish owned fruits in Eretz Yisrael tameh. But when you're dealing with a Jew, then it's a much bigger problem, because you're making teruma, potential teruma tameh, and that is a problem. Fine. So that's the two that we have. Now the Gemara says, picks a point from the Mishnah that we just learned, and tries to scrutinize it from Mishnayot elsewhere. In other words, as we will see, and this is, we have the next 4 dapim of the Gemara about Yain Nesech, and we're going to be discussing a whole lot of halachot of Yain Nesech once everything gets developed. These are complicated sugyot. That's why you see they're very small amudim of Gemara. Every one of them is just a few lines with a lot of tosafot. That usually indicates that it's a lot to be said about the details of this. And as it develops, you'll see how the halachot of Yain Nesech come about. But one of the major things that you have to discuss, and when we go to the winery, maybe we have to discuss this in the process of making the wine. When does it exactly become asur, right? When does it already become asur? So if we say it becomes asur when it goes to the bor, so fine, the whole process before it goes to the bor is fine. But as we'll see in the Mishnayot, in Maaserot, Maaser also becomes a produce, becomes chayav v'maaser when its job is finished. Right? When you have your bundles of wheat in the field, it's not chayav b'maaser yet until you finish taking the kernels out, and you have a kri, you have a whole mountain of the produce. Then, when you're done with it, then it's chayav. But we see Mishnayot, as the Gemara is going to bring, that when it comes to wine, it's a much later process.